for more on our eye on tech, just to go over some of those tech headlines, Oluwatomi Mayowa, analyst with Financial Derivatives Company Ltd, is with us. Oluwatomi, happy Friday to you. Good morning.
Same to you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Everybody's talking about Dr. Bosun Tijani and his appointment as the Minister Designate for Communications and the Digital Economy. What can we expect from him?
Well, I'll say it's a good one. It's an interesting move because looking at the fact that he's actually a young person. In fact, that's what most Nigeria want, wanting
youth.
Yes, especially the youth, right? Wanting a young person, a vibrant person in the political space, and so we are having that. And apart from that, this is a first time we're having a tech person, coming into that space. And looking at that, we'd see that definitely is going to have, a wide experience in the tech space. Looking at where it's coming from, the CEO of CC Up, right?
Yep.
So he's going to have and I think it was founded around about 2010, right? Yep. So and that means it has wide experience in terms of digital economy and what goes on in that space. And so, but however, in talking about his position from the standpoint where it's coming from the federal standpoint, it might be a little bit difficult, navigating that experience with coming from the federal space. However, considering the fact that the digital economy is a growing space and is a place where a lot of people, or should I say even the politicians, will want to see a very great move in that space. So I think there might be a form of independence in terms of establishing what he has in mind, and then the right policies to ensure that the digital economy actually grow in a way that it's expected. So I think it's a good move. It's an interesting one, actually.
Yeah. Along the same lines, Obi Ozo, Cobalt 360 founder, CEO in Enugu State, right, as the new commissioner there for transport. So similar narrative.
Yeah, exactly, because we're talking about a startup here, and we've noticed in Nigeria, the common challenges of startups, where the business environment is sort of unfavorable and all of that. So they'll be able to drive policies to be able to ensure that the startup firm are actually, that environment is actually growing. Now, bringing him into the government space, you'll be able to navigate policies to ensure that that environment, transportation environment, is actually booming in that. So it's coming from a startup point. It's a good one. It's good for them. But in terms of bringing it into government, it's another work entirely. Yeah. So I think they will start to begin to find their leg in that space and begin to learn. It's going to take a little bit of time, but I think with time we're going to see improvement in that space.
So basically, we've talked about just two people here, but all we want to see is a flood of youth in all these positions. Across small Bosun Tijanis and Obi Ozos across the government. The CBN, this price verification portal, what do you make of this development?
Well, basically just to ensure that importers are not actually inflating the amount of what they want to, because when they go into get the Form A and to import Form M, sorry to say, and then they want to import whatever they want to import, most of them actually inflate their prices, and when they do that, the money they get, they do what they want to do, and then probably sell it at the Forex and the remaining at the parallel market, which could be distorting, right? So I think the CBN is trying to ensure that the foreign exchange is directed to productive use, right? So, however, this, could be a form of constraint or a restriction in the end if that process is not efficiently managed in terms of determining the benchmark price at which they could actually put, because when you put a particular commodity, for example, car. Right, you want to import car, and from China or probably from Germany, there might not be the price that they might be trying to verify from might be old, right, or not reflective of what is going on, the current situation now. So that might be difficult, apart from the global commodity price, which is easy to track and just update it. But in terms of determining the benchmark price of commodities that are not easily accessible, the prices are not easily accessible, that might be a form of constraint, and proper management of the site, all of those things. So it could increase the transaction cost in terms of, okay, you have to do this before you get your Form M, and then so it could be a form of restriction at the end of the day.
Yes,
exactly, if it's not properly managed.
All right.
So I think that should be improved in order to ensure that, people don't eventually go into the parallel market to get dollars.
The parallel market. Finally, real quick, the power sector, Tony Illuminous Transcorp, this 60% acquisition of the AEDC. How can tech, I guess, improve power in Nigeria? Is it more meters? More, what are we looking at here? What do you make of this acquisition, though?
Well, I would say
majority stake acquisition. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's a good move. We are seeing the private sector. Really, there's a wider range, right? Taking over the electricity, the industry, and looking at the new Electricity Act that was signed. All of these things are actually good moves. Gone are the days. Should I say gone are the days somehow? Because there are still other places in rural areas where they don't use meters, where you don't know the amount of light you're using, the power, right? They're consuming, and then they just come to your door and knock and ask for a particular amount. So one thing about technology is that it improves efficiency. There's transparency. There's productivity. So bringing the tech into the electricity space is actually going to boost productivity in electricity. It's also going to boost efficiency and transparency. So you're able to know the amount of light you're consuming, right? And you pay exactly the amount, unlike before that you pay for what you do not see, right? So it's very interesting. However, there's still a lot to do, right? Taking electricity to the rural areas, allowing the people there to access electricity, and generally, if that is done, and even increasing, because when we have the cost reflective tariff, it will enable industries to be able to properly increase electricity power to the sector generally in the economy, and that would actually boost productivity in Nigeria. So there's still a lot to be done even in the power sector.
Oluwatomi Mayowa, analyst with Financial Derivatives Company Ltd. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.